From EPAWA Weather Consulting, headquartered in North Whitehall, Pennsylvania, this is Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are those of the forecaster alone and may not reflect those of the staff of EPAWA Weather Consulting LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Now, without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
Hey, good Sunday morning to you. Another season of Weather Weeklies for the 2019-2020 winter. And a lot of support from you guys I've seen out there, with people asking when's it going to start. I really like to watch these every single Sunday. It's part of my normal routine. I thank you for that. I do read those and I do see those comments. But if you're not familiar with the Weather Weeklies videos, this is an every Sunday editorial video blog that we do that covers mostly the long range, but also some shorter term threats if there are any on the horizon, including storm signals. Now, we don't quite have any yet because we're only sitting here in early November. As we go through time, we'll start getting to more of that. Today, I'm going to focus more on a post-winter outlook release look at the long range, okay? And I'm not going to give you the winter outlook. That is behind a paywall. That is in our premium form. It was released last Wednesday. You can take a look at that in the premium form, and it's going to remain there. There is no public side of that, okay? That's always been behind a paywall, and nothing to do with the pay part of it so much. It really has to do with the general public not understanding the intricacies involved and all the science and the physics and all that stuff that goes into it. It's a lot of work. And we really don't have time for trolls to come on there and just criticize and say, well, you said February 3rd was going to be da-da-da. Yeah, come on. I don't got time for that nonsense. That goes behind a paywall, and that's been that way for the past 5 years. So if you want to become part of the premium forum, we get into the discussions. I'll show you ahead of every storm and very detailed model analysis leading into the storm. We're very interactive with the meteorologists on our staff. That is in the premium forum. I'll show you that in the end of the video, how to take care of that now, or how to get involved with that. Now, here is the long-range table we did last Friday, or actually I did. I do the long range for the company. So I'm the most versed in terms of, what we're expecting in a week ahead or month ahead. This is actually going a 1 month lead here. And because I'm the one that does this every Friday. Okay, so this is a long-range table from Friday. And this is taking a look at the below average period we had in place here. This is yesterday. 10th and 11th, near to slightly below average, just because the next couple of days are going to be a little bit milder today and tomorrow. And then we have a Tuesday through Thursday below to well below average period, because there's going to be one day in there on Wednesday. Some of you are not getting above freezing. It's going to be brutally cold for this time of year. You thought the other day was cold? Geez. Just wait. So that's Wednesday. Then we start coming out of it slightly on Thursday, but I think it's Tuesday through Thursday is the cold period. And then even after that point, once you get to the middle of the month until about between the 18th and 24th here, you're still near to slightly below average temperature. So we're just kind of crawling out of the real deep trough cold that we're going to be having in the middle of this week. We're just climbing out of that slightly. It's not going to be like, okay, well, now here comes the warmth again. Not how it's working. All right, then once we get to the end of the month, the very end of the month, beginning of December, we're generally near average. There will be some fluctuations in that. Now, we're looking at this from between the 25th and the 1st. It doesn't mean every single day in that period is going to be near average. You could have some days that are maybe +3, +4 above, and then you might have a day after that that's -3, -4. But at the end of the day, the entire week average is near average. When you go out further in range, we don't have as distinct. See these periods up here that are very short, narrow, distinct, okay? Down here, when you're going to go long for a whole week at a time, you have some fluctuations during that week. But at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, that entire week averaged near average. That's what we're looking at here, end of Thanksgiving, beginning of December. And I have this near to slightly above average area here in week 2 of December, and this is starting to spook some people, I noticed. Some of the snow lovers. Don't let this spook you. Near to slightly above average is relative to December 15th. You know what the average temperatures are then? Generally in the 40s, okay? So maybe instead of being maybe mid-40s, it's upper 40s, okay? It's not a big deal. It's not like it's going to be a torch. So we're not looking at that. This is just during that week. You might have the next week go back down again, and there's actually signs that it does that. So we do have, for the entire month of November, snowfall slightly below average, and it's going to be very slightly, near to slightly below. It's going to be very close. And these in the areas that are normally expecting to get it. Some of you have been teased with some snow events especially last year. We had one here in November, kind of later November, and we got some pretty good snow out of that. That's not normal for the month of November. It's not. All right. I'll show you what normal is here in a minute also. December, we do have, yes, for the month, near to slightly above average temperatures, 0 to plus 1.5 Fahrenheit, but slightly above average precipitation and still near average snowfall. I still think you're still going to get that, and that's as a result of some of the climate models we're looking at and also the analogs that we chose for our winter outlook. Again, that's privately shared. You can look at that in the premium forum. Here is the temperature periods we're talking about. This is that brutal midweek cold we're talking about. When you start seeing purple on the map here, that is very cold temperatures relative to average. This is an anomaly. 2-meter temperature anomaly. And by the way, I can start using the European model and the European ensembles now. This is now something you can share on social media or anything you want to do. Before I had to use the GEFS and that's it. Now I can use the Euro. So this is a good thing. They just changed the rules on this. So this is looking at this week, Tuesday through Thursday. You got these deep purples in here, and that's some pretty cold temperatures, all right? Once we get out of that period, it's going to warm up, if you will. But it's still slightly below average. It's not like it's going to be, you get rid of these purples, sure. But these greens are still slightly below average, and I think as we're going to be dealing with going into at least the 20th to 24th period, you'll have that slightly below average continue. And then once we get toward the end of the month here, right before Thanksgiving, we start getting kind of near average or back to near average, and that's what we expect going forward. Now, we do have a chance for snow, not requiring a map, though, I don't think. All right, here's that snow chance. And you can see it's mainly going to come in here. It's going to come in after midnight, Monday night. Okay, so this is a late night thing. Starts off as rain in some areas here, and you can see it here. Changes over to snow for an hour or maybe 2 tops on the back end. All right, and that goes all the way to the central Jersey coast. See, it starts off here with this front coming through. This is that Arctic front. A little bit on the backside changes over to snow here, and that would be on Tuesday morning. Right around dawn or thereabout, give or take a few hours, because you're northwest to southeast here. But you have that changeover right around dawn, and it goes for an hour or 2 till maybe late morning, and then it heads off the coast here by about noon or so. So that's what you're looking at for that morning snow. So some of you will see snowflakes that have not seen snowflakes just yet. And that includes all the way down here maybe by Philadelphia, central Jersey. Okay. Some of you, if you have not seen snowflakes, at least, you'll see that. Now, what about accumulations? Well, not really. Of some. But these are generally showing a ½ inch or thereabout or less. This would be something that would occur on non-paved surfaces. It would also, so you're looking at grass, cars, trees, that kind of thing. And it probably isn't this much. It's probably an upside here. How much is actually sticking when it falls? It won't stick right away. Again, on those colder surfaces, trees, grass, cars, that kind of thing, it could stick and stick faster. I don't think this is a roadway accumulations thing because you're getting a burst of snow at the end as it changes over, and it's going to look pretty coming down. You might have some, again, minor accumulations. This is not map worthy. If we're not going over an inch, I'm not making a map, but we will be sending alerts for this to those of you that are subscribed to the text alerts for these areas generally in here as that changes over to snow at the very end. So that's going to be Tuesday morning, so look for that. Just a little festive reminder that winter's coming. Again, you don't have to get much snow in November here to what's to be considered a lot for November. Okay, everybody seems to remember last year, and actually the second one on the list here, this is the record, is Allentown. That was a record year. 8.1 inches in Allentown was a record for any day for the month of November as a total for the month. These are record months listed here, record years for the month that had the month of November very snowy. Philadelphia 8.8, 1953. That was a record for the month of November. Normal though, you're only seeing a ½ inch of snow in Philly. Can we get that tomorrow? Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. All right? Usually you're seeing most years in November, you're seeing a trace of snow here in Philadelphia. Allentown, normal is 1.2. Record was last year with that storm that happened in the second half of November, 8.1 inches. That was all one storm. 1.2 inches is normal. Okay, so you're not expecting much in November. Same thing. Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, 22.5 was the record. 3.3s, though, is normal. You could get close to that. I think you're going to be slightly below. That's why we have listed slightly below for the month. Okay? Newark, same thing. 0.8 is normal. But you had a 14.2 inch year here in 1938. So it is possible. But this year, I think you're going to be just kind of typical November type stuff. Now, let's take a look at winter outlook type stuff. This is the interesting. I'm not going to give you the winter outlook again. I'm going to give you some things we're looking at, and the big concentration here is going to be sea surface temperatures and sea surface temperature anomalies. That's kind of like your foundation or starting point. So you can see where your sea surface temperature anomalies are compared to average, and this is warmer out here in the west. It's a kind of west central based right now, where it's warmer. Far eastern parts, just off the Peruvian coast here, are colder than average. Okay, you have this warm pool that's sitting up here, a little cooler near Vancouver. So this is this here is a cool PDO, very slightly cool, but it is cool, and this will have some implications on our weather here in winter if this would hold. Okay, and I'll get to that in a second here too. Here is a breakdown of those same regions, because those, if you go back to this, I don't want to jump ahead. This is the Nino regions. This is this area here is your Nino 4 region. And then you have 3.4 that is sitting right here in the middle, Nino 3, and then here is 1 and 2 over here. So they're all broken down into subregions within that Nino area. Sea surface temperatures are important because they drive our global climate. Okay, so if you've heard of El Nino, La Nina, this year we're probably going to be in an ENSO neutral, which is neither a Nino or a La Nina. Okay, so that's going forward, but here's what we're looking at right now. Again, warmer here than average in the western basins, Nino 4 and Nino 3.4. Kind of maybe slightly warmer here in Nino 3, but look at Nino 1 and 2 off the Peruvian coast. It's actually below, okay, below average there. So that's why you're seeing those that configuration of temperature anomalies, and the configuration of those anomalies will determine, you know, what winter will be like down the road. That's like a kind of our foundation. There's other there's other factors involved. Obviously, there's a ton, but there are. That's our base. That's your foundation, so to speak. And the projections for through the winter months, December, January, February, and January, February, March, kind of like hanging where they are right now. Neutral, positive ENSO, which would neither be a La Nina or an El Nino. Okay, so again, here's your sea surface temperatures right now. And these all over the globe. You see it's very warm along the east coast here, very warm up here, very cool along or slightly cooler on the near Vancouver on the western coast of Canada and northwest U.S. Okay, you got this cold pool right here, you got this warming. So this is, we look back into years past and say, well, what matches up to this very well? And one of the things that matched up very well to this year was 2013, 2014. This is our #1 analog for the winter outlook. And this isn't looking at November 2013 of that year. Very warm up here, a little cooler along the Pacific Northwest coast here from Vancouver all the way up down to the, Seattle and all that whole area. Off the coast of Oregon. So it's very cool here. The warm water was generally in the western part of the Pacific like it is now, and it was cooler right along the Peruvian coast. Warm along the East Coast. There's a lot of similarities between what we're seeing now to that year, 2013, 2014. Well, actually, we're looking at November 2013 here. Now, how is that important? Well, it's cold right now. Well, there's how November 2013 fared. Very cold here in the eastern United States. Got the warmer out west here. And what's interesting about this, what's really interesting about this is if you go to this, that looks pretty similar, doesn't it? Looks pretty similar. Okay, so November 2013 is shaping up to be very similar. You can see that here. Now, what did it do in December? It got a slightly warmer than average. This is nearer to slightly above average here in our area. 0 to +1. That's about what we have projected for the month of December. So very similar. Now, you're probably going to ask, okay, well, what about January, February, March? Well, it was brutal. It was very cold. Okay? Now, this is just one analog. We used 6. And again, you can take a look at those in the winter outlook they released in the premium form on Wednesday. There's 6 analogs we used. We ranked them #1 to 6. This happens to be #1. It doesn't mean it's going to work out exactly like this. Okay? But a lot of these winters did the same thing. And a lot of them were very snowy, very cold. Do I think we're going to have a colder winter this year? Yes. Do I think we're going to have more snow than average? Yes. Okay. Has a chance to have more blocking this year. We'll get into that in future outlooks, but I think the biggest driver is going to be the Eastern Pacific Oscillation. And we've seen it over the last couple of weeks where you're getting this cold here because you're getting this ridge into Alaska where that warm water is. And then you have a flow like this with the jet stream with the cold air coming back into the United States, and it's been able to bleed eastward. If we can get some blocking, that the cold air is able to transport eastward more easily. Let me get this right here. It's going to transport eastward more easily, okay? And you also have the chance for some bigger storms, a little more juiced on the southern stream. That would be later in the winter, okay? So there is a chance for more blocking here. Compared to 2013, 2014, we had a lot of snow that year. Some places had a top 5 winter. Philadelphia is one of them. Allentown was one of them. They had generally 67, 68 inches of snow at both locations that year. Now, out in central PA, south central PA, still above average, but Harrisburg is around 44. If I remember correctly. Let me see if I can remember this. Yeah, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, about 55. Newark, New Jersey, about 60. So we had a lot of snow that year. Doesn't mean it's going to work out exactly like that year. Again, we used a blend of 6, okay, and this just happens to be the lead. That might hold, it might not, but this is the configuration you get with that warm Pacific air that's up here in the Gulf of Alaska and the cooler anomalies along the west coast that allows for a ridge to develop here, and you get the cold across polar flow coming in, and you get cold dominating the pattern. And I think that's where we're going to be headed. I really do. Unless something significantly changes, we've already been seeing signs of that in November, just like we did in 2013, and some of our other outlooks or other analogs that we used. It was a negative EPO dominated winter, or at least November. If this continues to hold, and I don't see any reason why it won't based on the sea surface temperature configuration, we could be in for, at the very least, very cold, but also a lot of snow. Now, again, that year we didn't have blocking in 2013, but we had a lot of nickel and dime events, a tremendous amount of nickel and dime events. I think we did like 17 snow maps that winter in a matter of 3 months. It was insane. Okay, they were just like every 3 or 4 days you get something. It wouldn't be a big storm. You might only have like 2 to 4, 3 to 6, but they would add up. Nickel and dime, nickel and dime, nickel and dime, because we didn't have blocking. But they added up, and by the end of the winter, lo and behold, you're over 60 inches of snow in some places. Okay, so it does add up. Again, normal is probably half of that of what we got that year. Okay, but the EPO is something we're going to be watching. I think it has a better chance to be negative than positive, which will allow that cross-polar flow, and at least the cold's there. And if you have the cold in place, you give yourself the chance for events coming in, any kind of events, whether big or small, to be on the frozen side of average. So we're going to do a summary here of the video here, so I'm going kind of long here. Watching Tuesday morning for a minor snow, or at least the first flakes for some areas. Again, I don't think this is map worthy because we're under an inch. We'll be sending alerts out for this for the areas affected. I think you're dealing with a lot of coating to a half-inch stuff. Maybe some areas get up to an inch. But it's going to, remember there's wet ground prior. It's a little cooler, a little warmer on the ground initially until that starts to build up. So I think you're probably under a half-inch in most areas. We'll allow for that buffer up to an inch maybe, but it's not map worthy unless we go inch or greater. Winter starts off with a near to slightly above average snowfall in December. I'm putting near to slightly above average. I think there's some blocking coming in here in December that you might just get one storm, and it might be a little bit bigger that'll push this through above the near average threshold. So we'll see. I think December starts off with the kind of like near to slightly above average, and then we could be busy afterwards if that holds as I'm talking about right now. The EPO may be a key driver in this winter with a higher probability than recent years for blocking. I don't want to get into that in this video as far as blocking because we're going to look at that down the road. There'll be future videos. Again, we do this every single Sunday. It's an every Sunday video blog that we do. Gives our opinion on things and what we're looking at going forward here. But if you want to be part of the discussion throughout the week and you want to get the text alerts sent to you directly for any threats that are coming in, make sure you click on the image below this post. It looks just like this, and it'll take you to the sign-up page for the My Pocket Meteorologist program. That's for the text alerts and the premium form. The premium form is where we discuss everything. We do all the model analysis comprehensively before leading up to any storms several days in advance. Legitimate storms, of course. And then, we'll do the long range 2 more times a week. The public gets it every Friday. Weather Weeklies every Sunday, but you also get a Monday, Wednesday in the premium form also, in addition to the public stuff that's free. Now, also the winter outlook, don't forget, is in the premium forum exclusively. You'll find that by clicking on this link here. If you just want the forum, that's great. If you want the text alerts and the forum, there's some discounts involved there. Please take a look at that. And again, it's below this post. Click on this image right here. It'll take you right to that page, and you can take a look at what we have to offer for the upcoming 2019-2020 season. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Martrich, and that is this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, November 10th. Please join us again next week and every Sunday throughout the upcoming winter.